Hi everyone, it's Neshia with Inspiring Beautiful Creations. I'm here today to show you how I alter a store-bought card. I actually purchased a bunch of these cards that are 4 by 5.5, but I love the sentiment on here, and it says, "So grateful for you," and foiled rose gold card. And I really love this sentiment. I thought it was just the right card for fall, and I have to send out several cards to a couple of people, so I wanted to be able to use this, and this is what I ended up creating, you all. Okay, so I took this to this. Okay, and actually I think this card is actually a little bit smaller. This is 4 by 5, and I think this one is going to be a 4.5 by 5. But it really doesn't matter what card base you want to use, because I actually cut this out of this particular card. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I used. I use my leaf dies here. These are called the skeleton dies by Sizzix. So I use these dies here. I also use my oval dies as well, okay, and just some glue, and then just have some your paper, cut your cardstock down, and then, you know, I was going to cut out. So I'm going to show you exactly all the pieces that I used to make this. So what I did was I have one piece of cardstock cut out, and if I'm correct, let me measure this real quick to make sure. Yeah, so this one is, okay, 4 by 5.5. So I cut out this, and that's actually the full size of my actual card base. So I'm going to decorate this piece of paper and then apply it to the actual card base later. Okay, so what I did, and I'm going to bring you guys down a little bit so you can see everything. There we go. So here I have my actual card base, and what I did was I cut my sentiment out, okay, and then I actually cut out another piece on the back just to actually make it sturdy. I don't want this to be, you know, thin or weak, because, you know, even though I'm applying it just to the card, I still like it to have enough sturdy base. So all I'm going to do is have that. I cut out my leaves. And I just used different cardstock that I had that represented fall for me. So these are my leaves here. And then here is my example. So I'll put my example right there off to the side. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just gluing the back of my leaves. And basically what I do, because I know sometimes even when you're just somebody who's new to crafting, what ends up happening is that you're trying to figure out, how can I make some of these things just look a little different. So this is probably, you know, when I first started crafting, I don't really call myself a card maker necessarily, because I just embellished a lot of cards. So there we go. And then on this one, I'll put that right in the center here. And I want to tilt that a little bit. And then this glue dries clear, so I just press that down, okay, and make sure it's sticking. Don't rush your projects, everyone. Okay, and then most of this is going to be covered up anyway. It's a beautiful leaf, but most of it's going to be covered up. And then again, I'll do this one, you know, and I just outline the outer edges. Those are the pieces that to me are going to actually come up. So when I put my glue on, I actually just outline more of the edges than I'm worried about the middle part of this, because it is a, you know, a die that will just lay flat. So I did that. I take my other, and then I kind of want to make sure that this comes out to the corner here. So I lay that down, press that down. And what I love about using a wet glue is because of the fact that you can play with it. I don't particularly use the spray adhesive. I haven't mastered that technique yet. It just seems like it gets over everything for me. And the wet glue to me also adds a little more firmness to the flower than when you're using the adhesives or the adhesive sheets and things. That's just my preference. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just my preference on how I like to use the wet glue because I have a little bit more time to play with it. So, yeah, it does get all over your hands, but I don't mind that. I just remember when I was a little younger, I used to take glue and put it on my hands and play with it. And then I just love to peel it off. I don't know if any of you've ever done that, but I used to just play with the glue. And I love how I used to make the little veining, you know, pick up the veins in my hand, and I just peel it off. It was a tedious little thing to do, but I did it. Okay, so now you see where we have our base down of the leaves, and then I just cut a piece of ribbon. It's a nice little foiled ribbon, and it's like a copper color that matches, or a rose gold. And what I did was I went ahead and I'm using some, this is when I'm using my tape runner. Okay, so I'm using a dry adhesive. Okay, and then I'm gonna run that on the inside of my actual ribbon. This will help me place it down better. So there we go. And then we'll place that right here on the back. And because I've done this a couple times, I kind of know where to place it. And I have a little bit extended over. Let's see with this I can play. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, I do run a little bit of wet glue on the back because I don't want anything to lift up because I don't know how long anything will actually last. So I do run just a small little line of glue on the back, and then I put this down, center it. And if you want to test it, take your sentiment and just kind of play with it, and it's good for me. And then I make sure I smooth that out and then just take it on the back. And see, you can play with this topper, as they call it, and get it exactly the way you like before you put it actually on your card. So let me get that glue off, okay? So then I put my tape runner to the side, and then here I'll take my glue, and then I will put some glue on the back. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more glue. I know I'm kind of off camera, guys, but I'm just adding a little bit more glue on the back because I do not want this to lift up, and it's got to go over that ribbon. Okay, so then I'll place that right here in the center, and then smooth it down. See how quickly we've just already altered a beautiful card already, because I really love that sentiment, and that sentiment stood out. And I'll just make sure I give it some pressure to make sure that glue adheres. And I do check all of my seams, my edges should I say. And then just make sure they're all adhered down and this glue dry as well. Okay? And I just make sure that is adhered down. And then I'm going to want to go ahead and put some bling on it. Okay, so these are just some adhesive gems, rhinestones, whatever you want to call them. And then I just place them on here. Get that off of there. And I kind of just placed these where they were kind of scattered, where I saw the little open spots. Here and there. There we go. Now, what I do is I also glue these down, even though they have adhesive on the back of them. Oh, I'm sorry. Even though they have adhesive on the back of them, I still want them to be permanent in my eyes. So what I do is I just take a little pin, and then I lift it up on my finger, and then I just put a little dab of glue on the back, guys. And I just do this, and then I put my gem down, glue it. And again, that glue will dry clear. And now this wants to stick everywhere, so sorry. Okay, now I'm having difficulty because I'm on camera, right? Well, we know that's how everything goes. I don't do very many tutorials. Well, I don't do any tutorials. Let's just say that, because of the fact that I am a slow crafter. I say that to people all the time. And what I mean by slow for me is it takes me a while to get a project together, because I make the project for the individual person. And then, you know, a lot of times I may just change my mind and take something apart. So I'm not someone who can plan to make, you know, a video and show you a tutorial of how I made it all the time, because that may have been days of me working on one simple project, you know, or tearing something apart because it didn't work out the way that I thought it should. So it's kind of hard for me to always think about doing a tutorial, because it may take me a whole month just to get something done. Okay, so we have that, and then now pretty much everything is going to dry. So what I would do is take this and adhere this. Now what you can do, you can edge it, you can do different things if you want, but I wanted it to be flush with the actual card base. I didn't want anything fancy or anything like that on there. So all I'm going to do is just glue my edge. And because again, I do not want this coming up off my card, guys, I applied a lot of glue on the back, a good, nice, strong glue. And then I just line it up with my edges. And then I just seal everything. And in those areas where that ribbon is, I make sure, you know what, I didn't put glue on top of the ribbon. So I make sure, if I have to go back and focus on that area, I don't have a problem, because I do want this to stay over time. I don't, when you give a card to a recipient, I really don't know how long an individual person plans to keep your card. You know, you never know. Some people, you know, will save it because they'll let you know, oh, I still have your card from whenever. But there's some people, you know, they may receive a card and they get what you want them to get out of it for that moment because you put a sentiment inside. And I personally love to do more of a handwritten sentiment sometimes, but sometimes, you know, I don't have the time to write a lot, so I have to stamp a sentiment. And in this case, I will, and putting a nice little message inside, you know. But basically, that is it, okay? I have, you know, altered my original store-bought card and made this into this. Okay. Just wanted to show you that these are going to be the frames that were left out once I cut the sentiment out of the card. So these guys, you can actually use these to make shaker cards or do a border around another card. So I love that, you know, because this is the back and front of the card, you can actually put some foam in between the center here and then put some acetate around it, put some shaker bits in here, or you can just frame something else, another sentiment or something of that, just to give it a little bit of an edge, a little bit of dimension as well. So I don't throw anything away. I always save everything, but I just want to show you something else that you can do with this once you cut it out. Now back to what I was showing you. So I want to say thank you to all of you who have followed me on this journey. I hope that you found this, you know, tutorial simple. And it was basically just to show you how I use a card and just alter it myself. You know, I know that there are probably several tutorials out there. So if you're new to crafting and just wanted to learn how do I, you know, do something a little bit different, this is just my little spin on it. So I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you for continuing to support me, watch my channel, continuing to leave me wonderful comments, and inspiring me to want to create for you all. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.